Bonjour.
Bonjour tout le monde.
I'm Michelle Fournier from Falmouth Middle School in Maine.
Stephanie Carbonneau from York Middle School in York, Maine.
So we thought it would be useful to make a little overview video. So Stephanie is going to pretend that she knows nothing about Manie Musicale, and I'm going to answer your questions so that those of you that are new can hopefully get an idea what it's all about.
So I saw this thing on Facebook called Manie Musicale. It looks cool, but I don't know what it is. Have you heard of it?
Oh my God, it's so great. You have to do it. It will get your students so excited about French and they will have fun, and it beats the March doldrums. So basically what it is I don't know if you're familiar with the college basketball tournament, the NCAA basketball tournament, but they every spring in March, they do this thing called March Madness, and they have a tournament and people try to guess who's going to win this championship among all these basketball teams. And so instead of using basketball teams, these amazing French teachers from Maine have created this competition with French songs. So there are 16 songs, the Sweet 16, and they battle it out to see which song wins the tournament. And we call it Manie Musicale. And so students get to predict what songs they think will make it all the way, and then they vote to see who wins. It's really cool.
Well, that does sound fun. But I read on the website something about filling out a bracket. What does that mean?
Yeah, so let me show you what that looks like. So it's similar to the basketball tournament, but if you don't play basketball, it's still something that you can figure out. So basically, the bracket looks something like this. So you have the 16 songs on the side. So there are 8 on this side and 8 on this side. And the little numbers are for the days that they compete. So think of it as a tournament when you play a game on day 1 and then another game on day 2 and day 3. So it goes up to 15 days before the championship. So what students will do is they'll listen to these 2 songs, Tahiti and Arbre. These are the ones for 2021. And they'll say, oh, I think this first song is more popular. I'm going to pick that one. I think that one's going to win the vote. And they would write in here Tahiti if they think that one's going to win. And then they do that for all of these songs. So for day 2, for example, they would choose between Unité and Merci à la vie. If they think Unité will win, they will write it down here in this box. And they keep doing that until all these little boxes are filled. So for example, here, if they picked Tahiti and then here they picked Merci, they would have to decide which of those 2 songs make it to the next round.
Well, that's good. I think I saw a video on their website with that. Now I understand what needs to be done.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's how it works. I need to
So, I'm not very good at technology. Like, do I have to do all of this electronically? Do I have to
no.
go to Google school?
It's
Stuff?
really, yeah, no, it's really easy. So basically, if you don't want to do very much with technology at all, you could even just print and copy the brackets, and students could write it down on the piece of paper. You want to make sure that students fill out their brackets before the tournament starts, so that they don't cheat and notice who won and say, oh, I'm going to write that team down or that song down. And so you could make a copy of it afterwards, or you could have them take a screenshot, or they can fill it out electronically. There are different programs that teachers use, like there's one called Challenge, and there's a tutorial on the website about that where it can do all the math for you. So if you don't like to do math, it will give the students points for the ones that they predict correctly, and then you can see which students do best in the tournament.
So what do they do after they fill out the bracket?
So then when the tournament starts, day 1 would be the matchup between those first 2 songs. And so the students would go to the Manie Musicale website, and there's a voting page. And so they would click on matchup number one, and the dates are on there, and it would take them to a Google form that says, do you vote for song A or song B? And they just put that in and hit submit, and they're done. And then at the end of the voting for that particular matchup, the winner is announced. So maybe, 5,000 people voted for this song and 4,000 people voted for that song. And so the one with 5,000 votes wins and goes on to the next round. So, but like if you don't have, like if your students don't have laptops, for example, some teachers will have the students in a class vote, and the teacher will submit one vote for the class. So you could also do that if you
Oh,
don't have the technology. So you can do a lot with the technology if you want, but you don't really have to do that much with technology.
okay. So how do I get this started in my class? How do I introduce my students to this?
So first you want to make sure that you know the songs a little bit yourself. So listen to the playlist. There's always a playlist that is connected to YouTube, and there's a Spotify playlist, which sometimes doesn't have all the songs because of the way Spotify works. But listen to the songs while you're doing the dishes or whatever. Get used to them. And then different teachers do it different ways. So you want to get students excited about it. So you want to tell them what it's all about. And what I usually do is I show students just a little bit of each song so they get a feel for it instead of taking a long time to listen to all of the songs. And then once students are familiar with the songs, they can decide which ones they want to vote for.
Okay. So what age group is this for? Is this going to be appropriate for middle school?
Absolutely. So the organizers are actually middle school teachers, and they have a very thorough screening process. They look at the videos and they look at the lyrics to make sure that they're middle school appropriate. We have a lot of elementary schools participating as well, so it's appropriate for elementary. It's also appropriate for high school and college. We have universities that participate, so they might delve more deeply into the lyrics, for example. Um, Obviously, teachers know their school and their community and their students the best, so it's always good to screen the songs for your audience just to make sure that you're comfortable with all the songs. But they should be middle school appropriate and even elementary appropriate, and definitely high school and college.
Now, I joined the Facebook group and I see a lot of people posting bulletin boards. Do I have to do that? If I want to do that, I don't have time.
Yeah, so the great thing about Manie FAQs is that there's a lot of stuff that teachers make for you. So it saves you a lot of work. So teachers in the Facebook group or in other places will post activities, and the organizers will post bulletin board materials that you can just print out if you want to make a bulletin board. You don't have to, but it kind of gets students excited. Like I put mine in the hallway, and so students kind of look at it and go, what's that? That looks cool. And there a lot of times there are flags from showing where the different singers and groups are from, so that's kind of cool. But it's very easy to just use the materials that other teachers develop. And really, it's how much time you want to spend and how much effort you want to put into it is really up to you. And so, if you're worried about covering, you've got curriculum to cover, you can spend just a little bit of time on Manie FAQs. For example, my colleague who teaches sixth grade, she just shows them maybe 30 seconds of each song. And then when it's so that they can fill out their brackets. And then when it's time for voting, she shows the videos again, just to remind them of the songs, and doesn't go into much detail. But then there are other teachers who might delve really deeply into the lyrics and teach the kids the chorus to the song so they can sing along, or they might study the artists' lives and learn something about the artists or the countries that they're from. So if you want to make it your curriculum for the month of March, you can. If you want to spend 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes once a week or twice a week, you can also do that. So you can adapt it to whatever works for you.
That's great. So what if I make something? How do I contribute?
So if you make something, the organizers are gonna be setting up a Google Drive that people can put resources into. So you'll be able to just drop it in a folder, and then it will get organized for you so that you other teachers can say if they want to do something specific with one of the songs, they can go to that folder. Or there are also um, lots of resources that are just general resources for songs. Like I always do, like a chat mat for students to talk about if they like the song. So for novices, so they can say "J'aime les paroles" or "La chanteuse est
I
fantastique."
think I saw
Or
that on the website in the resources.
yeah, yeah. So it's good because they really learn how to talk about their preferences and likes and dislikes and add detail to their sentences. And that carries over from year to year. So if you end up loving Manie Musicale, as I'm sure you will, um, students will get better at it every year.
So I was just looking at the dates for the voting, and my school's on a different schedule than the voting. I think
Mhm.
we're going to be on vacation for part of it. So what do I do then?
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways that you can deal with that. You can, if your students have devices, they could vote on their own during vacation. Sometimes what I'll do is send out a reminder to students. So, for example, if last spring when we were in lockdown, I just put it on Google Classroom and said, please remember to vote. And if you miss some votes, it's not a big deal because there's so many other people voting. Typically, there are over 1,000 schools all over the country and around the world participating. So one vote or one school's vote is not going to make a huge difference, but it is nice to get your students to vote because it gets them hooked and it gets them more engaged and gives them ownership of the process.
Now, are there any prizes?
So for prizes, teachers do that on their own. So it's not like when students fill out a bracket, they give it to their individual teacher. Um, it doesn't get submitted to some big, huge national website or anything like that. The teacher manages her students or his students or their students and their prizes. So you might do it if you have another French teacher in your school. You might do it together and offer prizes to the top winners, or you can do it in each individual class, however you want to do it. Whatever reward system you have, you can do that. Although last year, the organizers did a bracket for teachers who wanted to just play along, which was fun. So you can also do that. But
Is
the
there
prizes,
any merchandise for this? Like, can I get something for my students from this?
so we're working on it. So hopefully this year there will be some merch that will be available, like t-shirts and things like that. But you can also do anything francophone related. So I I make macarons, and I'm going to make little basketball macarons as prizes. Or you can give out. In the past, I've given out gift certificates to French bakeries in the area. So you can do whatever seems to work for you and whatever you think your students will like. Or you don't have to do prizes at all. You can just say it's glory. If you win, you get the title of music champion.
So I think I get it. It sounds like a lot of fun, but what happens if I have questions in the middle of it?
So if you're on Facebook, the quickest way to get answers is to ask a question in the Facebook group. If you're not on Facebook, there are tons of resources in the on the website, the Manie Musicale website. And so check out the frequently asked questions. They put updates on there. And people are really helpful in terms of collaborating. You can email the organizers if you really can't find anything anywhere. They are always happy to help.
Now, I also teach Spanish. Is there a Spanish equivalent?
Yes, in fact, the Spanish one inspired us. The Spanish one came first. So it's called Senor Ashby's Locura de Marzo, and it's a huge tournament as well. His is usually a little bit earlier than ours. Ours always ends on the same day as the basketball championship, and then we count backwards from that. But Senor Ashby does it just in March, I believe. So, but they have a Facebook group, and Senor Ashby has a website, and they do a fabulous job. So definitely share that with your Spanish teachers in your school.